During a heartwarming dinner at my son's, I discovered an incredible secret about my neighbor. As the family gathered around the dinner table, laughter echoed in every corner of Jake's cozy home. The sweet aroma of my daughter-in-law's famous apple pie wafted through the air, and my heart swelled with pride, a picture-perfect holiday celebration. I looked around at my children, my son Jake beaming, his wife Sarah smiling, and my grandchildren's eyes sparkling with joy. This was everything I had wished for, a snapshot of love and togetherness. Yet, as I caught sight of the lights twinkling against the winter darkness outside, my gaze fell on Mr. Thompson, our reclusive neighbor. He stood alone in his yard, the shadows wrapping around him like a heavy blanket. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I recalled whispers from neighbors about his struggles, about the weight he seemed to carry alone. It was hard not to feel a twinge of concern mixed with curiosity. While my family shared warm stories, I felt a quiet unease brewing in my chest. This was an American family gathering, filled with joy, yet I couldn't help but wonder about the silent battles we often ignore. Just then, the lights flickered and went out. Darkness enveloped us, followed by an unexpected pause, the hum of conversation dying down. Candles were lit, casting a soft glow, and I felt a sense of intimacy that you could cut with a knife. With laughter muted, I found my thoughts drifting back to Mr. Thompson. I remembered a neighbor gossiping about the veteran's hardships, something I had brushed off. This wasn't just about him being solitary, there was more to his story, a reason for his quiet existence. Determined to reach out, I promised myself I would visit Mr. Thompson the next day. As I knocked on his door, my heart raced. I held a plate of leftover pie, a simple gesture of goodwill. To my surprise, he opened the door with a guarded expression, but it quickly softened when he saw the pie. As we shared that slice, he started to open up, revealing stories of his past, of his time serving our country, and how he had quietly been helping local kids chase their dreams through scholarships. Hearing this made my heart ache with unexpected joy. I couldn't have imagined the respect and kindness lying beneath his gruff exterior. The moment I shared this with my family, everything changed. My children listened, eyes wide with realization Mr. Thompson was a hero, not just in his past but in the present too. As we gathered around the table again, conversations flowed, filled with excitement about how we could support him, a newfound respect igniting a spark of hope in our hearts. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Amid our planning, a question hung heavily in the air. Would our community rise to honor Mr. Thompson the way he deserved? Would empathy bridge the gap between isolation and compassion? My heart raced with hope and uncertainty. Together, we could illuminate the shadows of our neighborhood and celebrate the silent heroism that often goes unnoticed. The thought stayed with me, igniting a fire within as I vowed to take action and bring light into the shadows surrounding Mr. Thompson's life. Little did I know, the path ahead would challenge our perceptions of heroism and community in ways I never expected. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the frosted windows, painting soft golden patches on the floor. I couldn't shake the exhilaration from last night's revelations about Mr. Thompson. I imagined his face lighting up as we shared our plans that could finally bring him out of his shell and back into the community. I poured myself a cup of hot coffee and felt a surge of determination. Today would mark the beginning of something extraordinary. After breakfast, I hopped into my old sedan and made my way over to Mr. Thompson's house. The crisp winter air filled my lungs, and I couldn't help but smile, imagining how our once quiet neighbor might react to this new wave of attention and care. As I reached his house, I took a moment, glancing at the yard, which appeared in need of some love, much like Mr. Thompson himself. It seemed that the weight of the world sat heavily on his shoulders, but today, I hoped to lift some of that burden that I knocked on his door, and after what felt like a long pause, he answered. There was that familiar guarded expression, but it softened slightly when I greeted him warmly. "Good morning, Mr. Thompson. I hope you're ready for a little more pie." I chuckled, holding up another plate, his mouth quirked into a hesitant smile. "I can always find room for pie." We both laughed, and I stepped inside. The warmth enveloped me, and I noticed the walls were decorated with photographs from his past, images of him in uniform, standing with fellow soldiers, a life rich with experience tucked away in frames. As we settled down at his kitchen table, I took a deep breath. "I wanted to talk about our plans, the community's plans," I began. His brow furrowed, as if suspicion still lingered. "We've been thinking about organizing an event, a gathering to honor you and your contributions," I continued. He looked down, the weight of my words sinking in. "I appreciate that, but I don't want any fuss." There was a heaviness in his voice that echoed a past filled with modesty. "I did what any individual would do." "That's just it, Mr. Thompson," I replied, leaning forward. "You did what many wouldn't. You've sacrificed and continued to give. It's time we recognized that. We want to celebrate you and your support for those kids. They need heroes like you." His eyes flickered with something I couldn't quite place: gratitude, fear, or maybe a mix of both. "You don't know the whole story," he said quietly. "Not everyone comes back unscathed." It felt like someone had abruptly put a stop to my hopeful plans, the air growing heavy in the room. "Then tell me," I urged gently. "This is your chance. Let us help. You're not alone anymore." The silence stretched between us, thick and pulsating. Finally, he glanced up, a mixture of apprehension and resolve in his eyes. "All right. Maybe it's time to share." His words hung in the air, and my heart raced. What would I learn? What burdens had he carried alone all these years? It was time to peel away the layers of this profound mystery. Just as I opened my mouth to encourage him further, the doorbell rang, and with it unexpected visitors who might change everything. The doorbell chimed again, breaking the intimate moment we shared. Mr. Thompson's face shifted, a flash of surprise crossing his features. He hesitated before glancing back at me, uncertainty etched in the lines of his forehead. "Who could that be?" he mused, a quiet apprehension creeping into his voice. "I don't know, but let us find out," I suggested, trying to keep the air light. My heart raced with curiosity, wondering if this shift in our conversation was a diversion or a chance for something significant. Mr. Thompson pushed the door open, and there stood a small group of 3, all bundled in coats and scarves. As they caught sight of him, excitement lit their faces. "Mr. Thompson!" One of the younger faces, maybe in her early teens, exclaimed, her eyes bright with joy. "We were hoping you'd be home. We made you some cookies." She held out a tray, clearly proud of her offering. Surprise blossomed on his face, quickly followed by a tender smile. "Well, thank you. You didn't have to do this," he said, taking the tray. "Of course we did." Another girl chimed in, a little more shyly. "You always help the kids in the neighborhood. You're our hero." The title seemed to hang in the air, a reminder of what I had just tried to tell him moments ago. Seeing the warmth and connection between Mr. Thompson and these children drew a smile from me. It felt like a scene straight out of a heartwarming movie, the kind where bonds of community and gratitude intertwine. But as I observed, I realized that we weren't simply spectators of the moment, we were part of something larger, a movement waiting to unfold. Come in," Mr. Thompson urged, ushering them inside, the tension of our earlier conversation slowly fading. They fluttered in, giggling and chattering as they settled around the kitchen table. The cookies were soon being shared, laughter spilling out into the corners of the room, washing away the heaviness that had lingered moments before. I leaned back against my chair, watching as Mr. Thompson's walls began to crumble. The guarded demeanor melted away, replaced by a genuine spark. He listened intently as the kids shared stories about school, and with each moment, I could see him adjusting, feeling just a bit lighter. It was in that magical instance I understood that this unexpected interruption had opened a door, not just to a sudden revelation but to Mr. Thompson's heart. "Do you know why we wanted to bring you cookies?" one of the kids asked, her expression earnest. "It's because of all the cool things you've done. You really care, and that means the world to us." Mr. Thompson's shoulders relaxed, the tension evaporating, replaced with a glimmer of hope. "You all are the reason I do what I do," he replied, a hint of emotion thickening his voice. "I didn't think anyone noticed." As the kids chatted and shared their exuberance, I felt a pang of joy. This moment might be the gentle reminder Mr. Thompson needed to begin revealing himself to the world again, to fully embrace who he was and how much he meant to all of us. Yet, despite this blossoming light, there remained an underlying urgency to know what held him back all these years. Just as the laughter reached a crescendo, a heavy knock echoed from the front door, deep and determined. It was a sound that pulled every eye towards the entrance, the weight of it feeling ominous. Who was knocking now? What new twist awaited us? "Maybe it's a surprise guest," I suggested, trying to keep the mood light again. But deep inside, a knot formed. Whatever it was, it couldn't have come at a more crucial time. Would this visitor help Mr. Thompson finally share the story he had kept hidden? Or would it throw him back into the shadows? The door swung open and everything shifted once more. Standing in the doorway was a tall figure, silhouetted against the dim light outside. My heart raced as I leaned in for a better look. The visitor was someone I hadn't expected, a man I recognized from the neighborhood, someone I only knew in passing. "Jack," Mr. Thompson breathed, astonishment evident in his voice. "Hey, Bill. Surprised to see you here," Jack replied, his tone casual but there was a seriousness behind it that didn't escape me. The kids paused mid-laughter, their faces shifting to confusion. The bubbling warmth in the room seemed to deflate for a moment as the two men regarded each other. I felt a thick tension invade our little gathering. "What brings you by?" Mr. Thompson asked, his smile faltering. Jack's eyes darted to me, then back to Mr. Thompson. "We need to talk, it's important." The weight of those words settled over us like a thick fog. I could sense every child in the room grow still, their laughter fading like a distant memory. I shuffled in my seat, suddenly aware of the shift in atmosphere. "Can it wait a bit?" "We were just celebrating some good times," Mr. Thompson said, but the way he avoided Jack's gaze made me feel uneasy. Jack's face hardened. "No, it can't wait. Not anymore." There was a sense of urgency in his words, a gravity I couldn't quite decipher. The joyful cookies, the laughter, everything felt fragile now, teetering on the brink of something I wasn't sure I wanted to witness. Mr. Thompson, his expression shifting from surprise to concern, nodded slowly. "All right, let us talk then." He gestured for Jack to step inside, probably realizing this was not a conversation to have on the doorstep. Once the door clicked shut, the lively energy from the kids vanished, leaving a heavy silence in its place. They exchanged uneasy glances, no longer confident in their cheerful atmosphere. I bit my lip, torn between my desire to understand and my wish to preserve the warmth we had just shared. "Maybe we should step outside while they talk," I suggested, hoping to lighten the mood. But my voice felt weak against the gravity of the moment. "No, we want to stay," one of the kids piped up, her rosy cheeks dulled in the dim light. "Mr. Thompson said he cares about us." Their earnestness tugged at my heartstrings. Jack lowered his voice, casting a sideways glance, and discreetly stepped away from the kids, his conversation with Mr. Thompson pulling me into an uninvited intimacy. "Bill, it's not just about you anymore. You can't keep hiding from your past. They're asking questions, and you need to answer them." The weight of the moment settled over us thick as syrup. I could practically see the memories chasing Mr. Thompson's eyes. "Please don't," he replied softly, an edge of desperation creeping into his tone. The vulnerability made me ache. What if they deserve to know? Jack countered, his expression a mixture of concern and insistence. "It's your move, Bill." Every word felt like a stepping stone into unknown territory. What secrets had built this wall around Mr. Thompson? Why now, when his spirit was finally starting to rise, was this truth clawing its way to the surface? The kids shuffled uneasily, their innocence wavering like candle flames in the wind. I felt their eyes on me, searching for answers I couldn't provide. As I looked back at Mr. Thompson, my heart ached with both sympathy and anticipation. This was a defining moment for him, and for us all. Would he choose to reveal the truth, or would he retreat into the shadows once more? Just then, the sound of a distant siren pierced the quiet, slicing through the tension in the air. It served as a stark reminder that whatever was to come would not exist in a vacuum. It would echo beyond this kitchen, into the entire neighborhood. The moment of truth was rapidly approaching. The silence in the kitchen felt like an eternity. Every tick of the clock echoed, amplifying the tension. The kids' eyes darted between Mr. Thompson and Jack, their youthful innocence now burdened with an awareness that everything was about to change. Mr. Thompson took a deep breath. I could see the turmoil on his face, a cocktail of fear and regret mixing with a flicker of resolve. "I can't just spill everything out, Jack," he finally said, his voice low but firm. "There are things that they're too young to know." Jack shifted his weight, the resolve in his posture betraying his frustration. "You have to trust them, Bill. They're tough. They can handle it. But if you keep hiding, you'll miss your chance to explain, to show them that you're still human." I sensed the children inching closer to the unfolding drama, their small bodies tense, waiting for an answer. A pervading tension enveloped the room, leaving me wishing I could shield them from whatever heavy truth would fall, but the air crackled with anticipation. "What are you talking about?" I asked softly, trying to grasp the full weight of the moment. It was as if I had poured gasoline on an already smoldering fire. All eyes turned to me, surprised and fearful. Jack met my gaze, the shadows under his eyes deepening. He seemed to understand that I was just trying to navigate this storm like the rest. "He has a past," Jack revealed, his tone laden with urgency. "One that could change everything about how they see him." Mr. Thompson clenched his fists at his sides, his trembling figure revealing the strain he felt. "I worked hard to leave that behind," he murmured, his voice catching. "Running from it doesn't make it go away," Jack argued. "What happens when they learn it from someone else? You can't shield your secrets forever." "Please," Bill implored, his voice cracking. "I just wanted to protect them." The kids stared wide-eyed, the bewilderment on their faces was palpable. They leaned in closer, breaths held, as they absorbed the intensity of the exchange. They trusted Mr. Thompson, this man who had always been there with warmth and cookies, laughter and stories. Now, that foundation was being tested. Then, as if sensing the suffocating stillness, a small boy piped up. "Mr. Thompson, will you still be our neighbor after this?" His voice echoed like a pebble dropped in a quiet pond. Those words hung in the air, the innocence stark against the looming shadows. I could see Mr. Thompson's heart breaking as he looked at the children. The question hung there too, an unspoken plea, reflecting the fear of losing everything he had built with them. The air was thick with uncertainty, and I could feel the heat of tears stinging my eyes as I held my breath, willing him to respond. Would he choose to stand in the light, or retreat into the shadows of his past? As if sensing his hesitation, Jack pressed forward. "You owe it to them, Bill. You owe it to yourself." For a moment, I could see the flicker of a decision cross Mr. Thompson's face, a flicker of determination battling against the burdens of the past. He opened his mouth, and just as the words began to form, the shrill ring of a phone sliced through the tension. It echoed in the silence, a sudden intrusion that brought us all back to reality. Mr. Thompson flinched, his hand instantly instinctively reaching for the phone on the table. There it lay, glowing in the bleak light of the kitchen, demanding attention when all our focus had just shifted toward him. "Answer it, Bill," Jack urged, voice low but unyielding. Mr. Thompson glanced at the children, the phone vibrating against the wood. In those few seconds, a world of possibilities stretched out before him, one filled with honesty, revelation, and perhaps acceptance. Would he let the storm batch through, or would he stand steady against its winds? As he picked up the phone, all of us held our breaths, captivated by what would emerge on the other end. Anxiety prickled my spine. Whatever next was coming, it would change everything again. The weight of anticipation hung heavy in the kitchen. Mr. Thompson's hand lingered over the phone, trembling slightly. He stole a glance at the kids, their faces shadowed with confusion. I could feel the air crackle as if it held secrets and unspoken fears. "Hello?" His voice was hoarse, a mere whisper cracking under pressure. An unrecognizable voice traveled through the receiver, and I watched as Mr. Thompson's face drained of color. "What do you want?" His words came out sharper than intended. Jack shifted nervously, his eyes darting between Mr. Thompson and the kids, who were still uncomfortably close, their innocent curiosity becoming more pronounced. "Bill, it's been a long time." The voice was firm, yet edged with familiarity. "You know why I'm calling." With every word, the tension in the room escalated. Mr. Thompson's breath hitched. "I told you to leave that behind. Those days are over." The kids looked at each other, confused. I leaned in, trying to grasp the fragments of the conversation. That voice, full of history, dripped with unspent weight. Mr. Thompson's fingers tightened around the receiver as if he could crush the memories invading their moment. "Can you really pretend like none of it mattered?" The voice on the other end pressed. "Your past is creeping back in, whether you like it or not." As he listened, Mr. Thompson's face morphed, shifting from surprise to bitterness. The kids, still alert, sensed the gravity of the discussion but couldn't quite understand. I wished I could shield them from this dark revelation, but there was no escape from the truth that permeated the air. "It's not just about me," he finally said, his voice breaking slightly. "I have people depending on me now. I can't. I want to let them down. Bill, think about what you're putting them through. They deserve to know you." The voice was softening, almost pleading. "You're not the only one who needs protection here." Suddenly, the youngest boy, his brow furrowed, called out, "What's happening? Who is that?" The innocent inquiry sliced through the tension like a knife. Mr. Thompson's gaze swung to the children, caught between his past and the vulnerability of their present. "I need to call you back," he mumbled, hanging up without waiting for a response. For a heartbeat, silence reigned. The kind that burrows deep, wrapping itself around the heart and squeezing tightly. I glanced at Jack, whose expression mirrored my own, a deep concern laced with a hint of empathy, as if we both understood the storm brewing inside Mr. Thompson. "Kids," he began, his voice struggling to regain its composure. It's complicated. He took a shaky breath, glancing back toward the phone as if it held the power to change everything again. I watched him wrestle with the decision between truth and comfort. The children were still observing, and I sensed their confusion blooming as they watched their neighbor, a man they admired, now standing with his shoulders slightly hunched as though crushed under the weight of both past and present. "Mr. Thompson," the little boy said again, his voice small but steady. "We love you. You can tell us." A single tear slipped down Mr. Thompson's cheek, and he blinked in surprise, brushing it away quickly. "I'm just afraid of how much I've failed you all," he whispered, his voice thick with anguish. Before the moment could sink too deep, the oldest girl, her gentle laughter that always soothed us all, broke through. "You haven't failed us. You've been our best neighbor." Something shifted. The strength of their bond sparked a hope that had felt distant moments earlier. Maybe he wasn't just their neighbor in that moment, he was their friend, their protector, and maybe, just maybe, he could share the weight of his truth without losing their love. "What do you say, Bill?" Jack murmured softly. "Isn't it time to let them see the real you?" As Mr. Thompson looked around the kitchen, his eyes meeting those of the children shining with encouragement, a tremor of resolve flickered back into his expression. There was so much left unsaid, and I could sense change on the horizon, a breaking of trust, a breaking of chains. Before he could respond, the phone rang again, a sharp reminder of the choices ahead. We all flinched, the ring cutting through the warmth that was just beginning to build. Would he pick it up again? Would he let the past back in, or would he stand tall against the storm, with spirits lifted yet still shrouded in uncertainty? I couldn't help but wonder, what would happen if the call revealed truths he hadn't been ready to face? The phone's persistent ringing sliced through the moment, and Mr. Thompson hesitated, glancing back at the plastic receiver as if it were a live wire. Each note of its insistent trill echoed in the space, amplifying the tension in the air. The children looked on, eyes wide, breaths held in anticipation of a revelation they didn't fully comprehend. Jack took a step closer to Mr. Thompson, his expression earnest. "You don't have to answer it, Bill. What matters most is what you choose to do right now." Mr. Thompson's knuckles were white against the phone. "I know. His voice trailed off as he let the words hang, heavy and suffocating. He seemed lost, standing at the crossroad of his past and present. The youngest boy, with a face full of innocence and concern, tilted his head. "But it could be important, right? Sometimes," Mr. Thompson choked out, "the past is better left alone." Each word was measured, weighed down by years of regret. Just as he reached for the receiver, it fell silent, leaving the room steeped in an eerie calm. He withdrew his hand, heart racing as he turned toward the kids. "Let us talk about this." His voice was steadier now, like a dam beginning to hold its river. The little girl, with wide trusting eyes, climbed up onto a stool, her small feet dangling. "What's in your past that scared you, Mr. Thompson?" It was a simple question, but it carried an avalanche of emotions, and all of us felt the shift. He looked at her, and suddenly the storm in his eyes flickered with uncertainty. "There are things I've done that I'm not proud of, people I've hurt." Each confession was a tiny crack in the wall he had built around himself. "Like what?" Jack pressed gently, his hands tucked in his pockets. "You're not alone anymore, Bill. You have us." Taking a deep breath, Mr. Thompson swallowed back the lump in his throat. "There was a time in my life when I was involved in something I didn't want anyone to know about, something that almost got me into real trouble." He paused, letting the weight of his words linger in the room. "But I didn't want you all to see me as something I'm not." "What were you?" The little girl whispered. He hesitated, searching for the right words. "I used to be part of a group that was involved in a lot of gangs and crime. I made choices that hurt people, including myself. That life, it wasn't who I wanted to be, and I've worked hard to change." Silence thickened again as his words settled among us, heavy with truth. In that moment, the children didn't move, but their looks shifted from confusion to understanding, from fear to compassion. It was as if they had pulled a thread of honesty and woven it into the fabric of their trust. "But we love you," the youngest boy declared emphatically. "You're different now. You're our friend." A smile broke through the shadows on Mr. Thompson's face, and this time, he let the tears flow freely. "And you all mean the world to me. I just didn't want my past to hurt you." In a moment that felt magical, the oldest girl took his hand, her small fingers wrapping tightly around his. "You showed us what it means to care. And we're here for you, too." Mr. Thompson looked around the room. Each child's face shone with bright sincerity, and for the first time, he felt the weight on his chest lighten. He could almost hear the chains of his past rattling, loosening their grip, but just then, the phone rang again, sharp and unyielding, as if fate wasn't done with him yet. The ringing shattered the moment completely, pulling him from the warmth of their acceptance. "What if that's them?" he murmured, the color draining from his face again. The children exchanged nervous glances, the shadows of uncertainty creeping back in. "You don't have to answer," Jack repeated firmly, and now, in the warm glow of the kitchen, Mr. Thompson faced a choice that could redefine everything. Would he grab hold of the past or step into the light of a new beginning? his hand hovered over the phone. The choice was his to make. Would he choose vulnerability and the love surrounding him? Or would he still be a prisoner of history? As the echo of the phone continued to resonate in the air, the question loomed larger: what would he decide? The phone rang again, insistent and sharp. Mr. Thompson felt his heart race, a flood of memories surging in his mind. Those past mistakes clawed at him like the desperate calls of a child lost in the woods. Jack's voice broke through the haze. "Bill, please don't," but Mr. Thompson could hardly hear him. He was consumed by thoughts of what that call might bring. Was it someone from his old life? Would it drag him back in? His hand trembled over the receiver, caught between fear and the warmth of acceptance he'd just begun to embrace. "Mr. Thompson." The little girl's soft but urgent voice cut through his thoughts. "You're brave. You can handle anything, even if they call you names or remind you of who you used to be." How was it that these kids, so small and innocent, could see through his layers of self-doubt? Their faith tugged at the edges of his heart, pulling him slowly toward the light. He looked around the room, at their hopeful faces, illuminated by the warm glow of the kitchen light, and felt the urge to fight the darkness of his history. "What if I'm not strong enough?" he whispered, breathless. Jack stepped closer, his small hands gripping the edge of the table. "You are. You're not that person anymore. You have us now. We can be brave together." With a deep breath, Mr. Thompson finally leaned back, letting his hand drop away from the ringing phone. It felt like a small victory, a step toward something brighter. "I'm not my past," he declared, voice growing steadier. The kids erupted into grins, exchanging glances filled with relief. It was as if they had just witnessed a miracle. But just as the tension began to ease, the phone fell silent again. The kitchen felt heavy, but the air also shimmered with the promise of change. Mr. Thompson looked at the children. "What happens next?" "Well, we have to keep going," the little girl said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "We have to keep being good friends." A wave of warmth flooded his heart. He felt lighter, like maybe he had found a way to keep the truth of his past from suffocating him. "You're right," he said, smiling through the tears. "We'll face whatever comes together." Just then, a knock came at the door. It was sharp and loud, breaking the tension once more. Mr. Thompson's smile faltered, replaced by a rush of anxiety. Who could that be? Before anyone could respond, Jack rushed to the door and pulled it open. There stood a figure, silhouetted in the dim light. Mr. Thompson's breath caught in his throat as recognition washed over him. "No, it can't be." The figure stepped forward, and the children gasped, eyes wide with confusion. As the door fully swung open, it revealed someone from the shadows of his past, the last person he'd ever expected to see. In that heartbeat, his entire world shifted again. Would this be a moment of reckoning, or a chance to show he really had changed? Mr. Thompson felt the children wrap around him instinctively, their presence a shield of comfort against the unknown. The answer would reveal itself shortly, all he could do was wait and hope. "Why are you here?" he managed to ask, his voice shaking. The figure smiled, but it held no warmth. "We need to talk about your past." The kitchen felt smaller. Tension crackled in the air, thick as fog. What awaited him next? Would this call extend beyond the phone to become a reckoning? Mr. Thompson felt the walls of the kitchen close in around him. The air felt heavy, suffocating. He couldn't take his eyes off the figure at the door, the shadow that once belonged to memories he'd buried deep. The children huddled closer, their small bodies pressed against his legs, silently offering support. "What do you want?" he asked again, the words barely above a whisper. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face that was both familiar and foreign. "I've come to remind you of where you came from. Your past hasn't forgotten you." Mr. Thompson's heart pounded in his chest. The world spun around him, memories flashing, dark days, regret, shame. Why now? After all this time? Because you need to remember, the figure said, a smirk tugging at the corners of their lips. You've been playing house with these kids, pretending to be someone you're not. Jack's grip tightened around Mr. Thompson's waist. Who are you? The boy asked, his voice steady but laced with fear. The figure glanced down, eyes narrowing. Just someone who knows the truth, about Mr. Thompson and how easy it is to slip back into old habits. A chill ran down Mr. Thompson's spine. Memories of the nights he wanted to forget flooded back, the voices, the laughter, the chaos. It was like a dam breaking. He had fought so hard to build a new life for himself. Could it be that easy to lose everything? Listen, Mr. Thompson said, his voice gaining strength. I'm not that person anymore. I'm different now. Different? The figure laughed, sharp and mocking. You can't change who you are. You think these kids will save you? They're just a distraction. You can't escape your past. The children looked up at him, their innocent eyes wide, searching for reassurance. Mr. Thompson felt their trust reflected in his heart, and he knew he had to fight. Enough, he declared, stepping forward. The heat of resolve ignited within him. You're wrong. I have changed. I'm fighting for something real now. These kids and this moment matter more than your ghosts. Silence settled over the kitchen, thick and heavy. The figure's smirk faltered, just for a heartbeat. Mr. Thompson felt a surge of hope. Maybe he could stand strong, maybe he could shield these children from the weight of his past. What do you see in them? The figure asked, a tremor in their voice. Courage, he replied, feeling the warmth radiate from the children beside him. Compassion. Fresh starts. They see me for who I am now, not who I was. That's what makes me stronger. The figure's expression shifted, something flickering in their eyes. For a moment, Mr. Thompson saw doubt, then it vanished, replaced by something almost sinister. You'll see. Your past is always waiting in the shadows. You can't escape it. Not forever. With that, the figure turned and walked away into the night, the door creaking shut behind them. The air seemed to rush back into the kitchen, filling the inner silence with relief and confusion. Mr. Thompson knelt down to be eye level with the children. Are you okay? He asked, his heart still racing from the confrontation. Jack nodded fiercely. You were brave. I knew you could do it. Tears welled in Mr. Thompson's eyes. He embraced them, feeling their small forms against his chest, the embodiment of hope and strength. We're in this together, he murmured, his resolve deepening. No one is dragging me back down. But as they stood together, a creeping doubt flickered in his mind. That face would come back, wouldn't it? The weight of his past would still linger. How could he protect the children if his own fears could surface at any moment? Mr. Thompson broke the embrace and looked to the door, wondering what shadows still lurked just out of sight, waiting for an opening. What if darkness was only a heartbeat away? Would he be strong enough to hold the line? Outside, the wind picked up, whispering secrets he wasn't quite ready to hear. The morning sun broke through the curtains, painting the kitchen with warm hues. Mr. Thompson felt the weight of the world fall off his shoulders just a little. The shadows of last night lingered, but they seemed less daunting now, softened by the warmth of laughter from the children around him. Mr. Thompson. Jack's voice rang clear, filled with a buoyancy that could lift even the heaviest heart. We're going to help you. We can do anything together. His words hung in the air like a promise. Mr. Thompson looked at the kids, their eyes brimming with trust, and in that moment, it was as if they were lighting a path through the thicket of uncertainty. Together, he echoed, his heart swelling. How long had it been since he felt the comfort of community? With renewed purpose, Mr. Thompson straightened up. You all deserve to know who I really am. The children leaned in, curiosity sparkling in their eyes. He took a deep breath. I've made mistakes, serious ones, he began, recalling the weight of his past. But I'm not that man anymore. I'm fighting to be better for myself and for you. Their expressions didn't falter, they simply listened, absorbing every word as if it were a treasure. I want to share my story so you can understand. I don't want to hide anymore. As he spoke, the room felt electric, filled with the energy of honesty and hope. The children exchanged silent reassurance, and he knew they were with him. He continued, recounting bits of his past where choices led him down a dark path. Each word was a bittersweet release, a step toward freedom. But some people never gave up on me. They believed I could change, just like you do. Each story he shared revealed not only the struggles but the people who helped him rise again, the mentors, the community, the kids he'd later support. And as the words left his lips, he sensed the shadows begin to fade. Your faith, it fuels me. I won't let you down, he concluded, looking into their eyes, feeling a shift within him. It wasn't just acceptance, it was the power to redefine his legacy. They broke into cheers. Yay, Mr. Thompson! One girl squeaked, her face lighting up with joy. He laughed, a sound fuller and warmer than he had expected. Nothing too formal now. Let us just keep being who we are. The moment felt like a snapshot of magic, captured forever in their hearts, but then, the door creaked open. Bill's heart sank for a moment, but it was just a neighbor, Mrs. Martin, stopping by with homemade muffins. Am I interrupting something? She asked with a knowing smile. No. The kids chimed together, excitement bubbling over. You just joined something special, Mr. Thompson said, grinning. We're spreading positivity. Care to join? Mrs. Martin looked surprised, and then that smile widened into a proud grin as she stepped in. What a wonderful note to start the day on. Kids, you've got quite the project going on. How can I help? And just like that, the walls of the kitchen felt alive with energy, as more neighbors dropped by, each one carrying not just food, but an eagerness to connect, to support Mr. Thompson, and to be part of something special. Laughter echoed from the warm kitchen, partners in a shared vision of healing and growth. Mr. Thompson could see the flicker of hope igniting into a flame, lighting up not just his heart, but the hearts of everyone who gathered. In that kitchen, amidst the muffins and laughter, he finally understood that community was everything. It was the collective heartbeat that could bring light to the darkest corners, even those shadows dwelling within him. Life was still ahead, filled with uncertainties and challenges. But with each moment of support from these kids and neighbors, he felt equipped to embrace whatever would come next. They would face it together. Let us plan that community event. Jack shouted suddenly, inspired. We can make an impact. Yes. Mr. Thompson replied, his eyes shining with admiration. Let us honor not just the old me, but the new, all of us. And so, they began brainstorming, laughter spilling out into the sunlight. Together, they would all shine. A light, not just for themselves but for everyone who felt alone, just waiting for a spark to guide them back home. In that moment, Mr. Thompson realized that he'd never have to walk this path alone again. The warmth of family, both chosen and found, embraced him, weaving new memories where old ones had felt hollow. The past was part of him, but it didn't define him. He was a pillar of hope now, standing tall. It was time to step fully into this new beginning, and as the kitchen buzzed with ideas, the darkness outside began to shy away, replaced by the beauty of community, acceptance, and love. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let everyone know how much you love this ending. Comment your reactions and feelings below, your thoughts matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Real fans support the channel by taking these actions.